Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time we are looking at the Takeda Classic Sasanoha Aogami Super Medium Gyuto. So this, they've got a regular Gyuto line that's even taller than this, but the Sasanoha is, I think they call it a leaf shape, so it's not quite as tall, although this particular one is fairly tall. You will always notice that Takeda knives, they don't use templates, so the sizes, the dimensions can vary a fair amount from model to model within a given, shape or size. So you can always ask Mark at Chef Knives to Go, hey, do you have a shorter one, longer one, taller one? Maybe he can check a few out for you, because they will vary sometimes quite substantially. But the core steel that they use, which is pretty much all they work with, is Aogami blue paper super reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi, and their work with Aogami Super and their heat treat on this stuff is legendary. So it's all they do, and they're just experts at Aogami Super steel. So great rendition of this core steel. Heat treats around 62 Rockwell, so they don't take it to a super high hardness for a little bit of resiliency and a little bit of forgiveness. Makes it a little bit easier to sharpen as well. The construction on the classic line is an iron reactive Kudauchi cladding on it, so it's got a Kudauchi, a very textured type of finish on it, and they've also got their stainless line, which has a more of a consistent flat matte black finish on it that's much smoother than this. So this knife is all reactive. The weight on these, and again the dimensions can vary a fair amount, but for the size of this blade, this thing's only 132 grams and 4.6 ounces. That's really unbelievable for the size of this blade. And it's hard to describe how thin this thing is. We'll get a close-up look at it. Edge length on this one is 225, so they'll vary quite a bit. So 8.8, almost 9 inches. Overall length, about 360 millimeters on this one. The height is 51 millimeters, so you'll see these from 46, 48, 50, so this one's 51. So it's a taller one, which some people would jump at. So it's a little bit more of a normal Gyuto type shape. The spine thickness, which is really crazy, is this is 2.6 millimeters coming out of the handle, and then halfway down it's 1.5, and you heard me right. It's 1.5, and then it pretty much just holds that. These don't have a super large grind on them, but this is the primary bevel, and it goes right down to a zero grind, meaning there's not a secondary edge bevel. It's just, this is the main edge bevel right here, and they take it right down to the edge. So these are just absolutely screaming sharp out of the box. I'll say this is about the only knife I ever give 8 out of 10, and it's just a beautifully crafted bevel on there, and these things just cut like demons out of the box. They are a little bit flexy, especially towards the tip, because it's a finished blade, so this is not going to be something you're just going to plow through stuff, that hard product. You're going to need some technique with this, and you don't want to bend it or anything. So this requires an appropriate touch and a quality knife technique. Let's take a look at the close-up of the blade. We'll get back to the handle. I realize I forgot to do that. So again, the classic line, which might even be getting phased out, I'm not 100% sure, but it has a mottled finish. It's got some texture to it. I think it looks really cool. There's the embossed kanji, the heart, the AS for Aogami Super. Again, there's your edge bevel right down to you can see the core steel peeking out. There's the cladding, the more gray part there. Nice Kasumi style finish to it. And then here's the right side of the blade as you're holding it. Again, it's hard to explain how light this thing is. It's unbelievably light for the size of this blade. The handle is their octagonal ambidextrous handle with rosewood, and they're not doing ebony anymore. This is a black paca wood. One of the things I do like, some people complain about it, I think it's awesome, is that they put a nice bit of epoxy on the front and just totally seal up that tang, so nothing's going to get in there in the handle and cause any corrosion. So these are workhorse knives. I realize this is super thin, it's a little bit delicate, but in terms of just getting work done and being ready to work, these babies are ready to work. And a lot of people do use these in a professional environment. 74, 75-ish millimeters is the circumference here where the ferrule meets the wood. The balance point on this is right there. It's a little bit behind a pinch grip, but the blade is so light. But this is just flickable and like I said, unbelievably light for the size of the blade it is. One of the cool things about the Takeda is the way they hammer these out. Even though it's that thin, there's still a little bit of a concave from the spine down and then back out again before you hit the primary bevel. So if you bring your hand down, you can feel it thicken up right there. And what that does is helps a lot with food release and food separation. So some of these knives exhibit fantastic food separation and also food release. And we'll just leave stuff sitting there in slices right where you cut it. So here's the profile on the cutting board. Not particularly flat, but just kind of a low belly. You got a little bit of belly towards the back, not super flat, and then kind of a low tip on it, so I'm not going to get super high. I'm digging in about right there. So, and this thing's actually wanting to stick in my cutting board, me just doing this. It's so thin at the edge, very, very edge. But there's your profile on this. So kind of a typical Takeda profile. Real smooth though. So these are just very unique. There's no other knives like these. And any serious Japanese knife, I don't know if I'd say collector or purveyor, somebody that likes to have a few different styles around, it's not a bad idea to have at least one Takeda in your kitchen just for the experience of it. It's a very interesting knife. So, or, you know, they make a lot of different models. So this may not be your cup of tea, but cool, cool, cool knives. So this is the Takeda Classic Series Sasanoha Aogami Super Medium.